Nation.
SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first. Then you act.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back, Spartan Nation. We now bring in the man, the legend, the way of life, the great one himself, the godfather of gossip in Gotham, Matt Holatic from thespun.com, the best sports aggregate site on the web, in my opinion. They have recently released their top 25. We're going to go through that entire top 25. Matt's joining us for the entire hour. Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. This is always one of my favorite segments of the year.
I agree. Everyone loves to have your spun.com top 25, so let's get right at it. Let's not waste any time. At number 25, you got the Miami, Florida Hurricanes. At number 24, you got Army. I really like that pick. But the first team I got an issue with is 23, Syracuse. Talk to us.
Well, do you want me to go through all three or just start with Syracuse?
Well, whatever one you want.
Okay, I'll touch quickly on Miami and Army. I think Miami has the talent to bounce back a little bit from what they showed last year, as long as they get their quarterback situation underway. There's a lot of players on that defense. Manny Diaz is a defensive-minded coach who knows that personnel well, and they also played Virginia Tech at home early in the season. So I think that they can make a jump this year. Army, I think I just love the turnaround that Jeff Monken's had up there in West Point. And what they've done the past couple of years, going from just an also-ran program, even among the three service academies, to now winning back-to-back Commander-in-Chief's trophies. Other than week 2 at Michigan, they might be favored in every game this year, and I'm excited to see what they do against Michigan. Now I will take you. We'll go to Syracuse at 23. This ranking for me is a lot of faith that I have in Dino Babers and what he's done there. Syracuse hadn't won 10 games in a season since 2001 before last year. They do lose Eric Dungy, who is their record-setting fan-favorite quarterback, but I'm a believer in what Tommy DeVito showed last year. I think he has a lot of weapons at his disposal, and I look at the division, and on paper a couple of years ago, it was a division that was probably the third best in college football behind the Big Ten East and the SEC West. But listen, Clemson is Clemson. We'll get to them later. But Florida State is down and starting to kind of build their way back up. Louisville will be improved, but they are not what they had been a few years ago. Boston College should be competitive and solid again, but I think Cuse is better than them. I think the stage is set for Syracuse to possibly win, 8 or 9 games again. It's a bit of a bold call because we haven't seen them have back-to-back years like that in a while, but it's what I'm feeling going into the season.
At 22, we come to your first Big Ten team. I thought I was a little bit surprised at where you had them. Not that they were in the top 25, but where you had them. We're talking about the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I have Iowa at 22, and the team that's right after them at 21. I don't know if we want to get into that just yet, but I think that basically there's a 3-team race in that Big Ten West. I think it's going to come down to Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska. They are all relatively close to each other. I think when you look at Iowa, they're going to have a strong offensive line once again. Nate Stanley is their leader at quarterback. He doesn't have the 2 stud tight ends this year, but he does have a couple of wide receivers back that he can throw the ball to that have experience. On defense, A.J. Epinesa, Chauncey Golston, those guys are absolute studs on the defensive line. The one thing that could really hurt Iowa, and I touched on it, is their schedule. They have to go to Nebraska and Wisconsin, and they have to go to Michigan in a crossover game, plus in Northwestern, which is not a particularly easy place to play.
The next one I thought you may have a little low, but I can't really argue. That's 21, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I think next year is going to be the year they take the big leap, but I have no problem with them at 21. Talk about the Huskers.
Originally, when I was going through and kind of slotting teams in and looking at things, I had them a couple of spots higher, but then I dropped them to 21 just to kind of temper expectations. I'm a big believer in Scott Frost. We've talked about him a lot on this program. They were 4-8 last year. The expectations are very high. I think they will flip that record at least. Be 8-4. They'll be back in the bowl. I just want to temper expectations a little bit because I don't know if I think it's too much to ask perhaps to go from 4-8 last year to 10-2 and to winning the Big Ten potentially just yet. But I do think when you look at what they're building, Adrian Martinez, just a tremendous dual threat quarterback, one of the best in the country. They have plenty of potential along the defensive line, even though they don't have necessarily one or two real standouts. Muhammad Barry, their leading tackler, is back. Their secondary is strong. Is a Big Ten title, Big Ten West title, too much to ask? It might be, but I think this team is going to be start to establish itself in 2019 and really be a force 2020 and beyond.
Matt, next we go to number 20, where I think you could have had them rated lower. I think you could have even had them rated a little bit higher. If they get any kind of an offense, they're going to have the top defense in the country. I guess I can't argue at 20. I could make an argument either way, so you must be right at 20, the Michigan State Spartan.
Sure, and I think you may remember a couple of months ago when I talked about how one of the ESPN computer rankings or calculations had Michigan 5 and Michigan State 16. I thought both of those were too high for each of the programs. I didn't think, at first that Michigan State was a preseason top 25 team, but the deeper I looked into it and the deeper I studied them, the more I stats will cause for optimism. You talk about their defense, they're going to have a great defense year in, year out. They have couple of potential first-round picks on the unit in Joe Bacci and Kenny Wilkes. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, you did. And Josiah Scott, another one, a potential first-rounder.
Right, yeah. You're talking about 3 potential first-round picks there on all different levels of the defense. The big key here is Brian Lewerke, who I thought was one of the more underrated quarterbacks, not only in the Big Ten, but nationally in 2017. But he was just totally banged up and couldn't play to any level of effectiveness last year, and it cost him. He's got receivers. And he has a pretty dependable running back that he can go to. It's just a matter of, can he stay healthy? Can he gain some of 2017 form? And we talked about last year how poor the offensive line played, but they have guys back. Now, it's always good to have returners, but how good are your returners? If they make some strides, then you might see them up a little bit higher on this list than 20. But if not, then you might see a sort of repeat of last year.
The team I like at 19 is the Mike Leach, the Fighting Leeches of Washington State.
When you talk about Mike Leach teams, you have to talk about their offense first, and it just keeps right on humming. Gardner Minshew is graduating after a year, but whoever wins the quarterback competition out there, and I'm going to go with Gates Gubra, the transfer from Eastern Washington. That's just my prediction. They're going to succeed. Mike Leach is going to put them in a position where he's going to maximize their talents. He's going to get them high completion percentage, putting up big numbers. The offense will be humming. No shortage of receiving threats. Tay Martin, Calvin Jackson Jr., Des Patman, Aesop Winston Jr. They'll be slinging it all over the place in Pullman. Max Borghi at running back, looking like he's going to be the main guy to step in. But Deion McIntosh, who looked pretty good 2 years ago at Notre Dame in a reserve role, gets dismissed from the program, but decides to transfer to Washington State. If he's immediately eligible, that's another weapon they have on offense.
At 18, I love the Iowa State Cyclones.
I think the big test here for Iowa State, the huge one this season, is what is their staying power? Matt Campbell has done a tremendous job first couple of seasons in Ames. He was named as one of the hot coaches on the market for a variety of jobs this offseason. Even the New York Jets, out my way, were linked to him and were reportedly interested. What is his staying power there now that he doesn't have David Montgomery, who's gone to the NFL? He doesn't have Akeem Butler. Those are his top runner and receiver from last year, gone to the NFL. How does he replace them? He does have Brock Purdy, who's kind of seized that job last year, starting quarterback role, and made it his own. And there's a lot to like there. Defensively, they were if they weren't the best in the Big 12 last year, they were right up near the top, and they get 7 starters back. I'm looking at Jaquan Bailey, 18 career sacks at defensive end, and they got a really solid tandem in the back end with Greg Ellsworth and Braxton Lewis at safety. The pieces are there. It won't be an easy schedule in the Big 12. Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma State, TCU could bounce back, Baylor. But the pieces are there for Iowa State to have another nice year.
When we come back, we get to Matt's first controversial Big Ten pick, and he's got 2 of them. You're listening to the Spun.com Top 25 College Football.